Good morning, Mike's Diabetes World. Well, it's a little cooler start today, but we're going to go out and have a good day. Today, I want to discuss topics like, oh, you can't do that, you're a diabetic. Oh, my mom did that. And she was a diabetic and she lost her leg. We'll be right back. Hi there. I'm not a certified diabetic educator or a doctor. You should check with one or both of these before taking any advice from anyone. Thanks for watching. So, all these sayings that everyone knows what it's like to be a diabetic, and they all know what's best for you. And so often, especially in the medical profession, we will hear, oh, you can't do that, you're a diabetic. No one really knows what it's like until you've actually lived it. And they're usually saying that as they're sitting there drinking, I don't know, Coke or Pepsi or something. Oh, no, you can't have that. You're a diabetic. Oh, itchy eye. But there are times when a diabetic needs to have sugar. Or if we want to, we can. We just have to adjust our insulin. And so often, oh, no, I don't believe that. You gotta cut down the sugar. And everyone knows what's best for us. And I mentioned earlier the medical profession. Well, you know you are a diabetic. It's kind of like, no. Am I a diabetic? No one's told me. You have to be aware, but there are ways of dealing with people. And just a little side, years ago, a friend of mine brought up a very valid point, and it was with people with mental illness. You know, if you're off work because you broke a leg or you're sick with cancer, everyone is sympathetic. But if you're sick with mental illness, oh, we don't talk about it. It's along the same lines. People assume that if you're a diabetic, you have to follow what they perceive. And it's especially hard when it's someone like myself who I have no knowledge of an upcoming hypoglycemic event. That's why I have the dog. That's another reason why I'm in the chair, but I'll digress later. But people will see me drinking a Coke. Oh, well, you shouldn't be doing that. Well, I'm low. Well, you know, if you had tangerines and you ate them in the morning, you wouldn't have this. Or if you did this, and if you did that and you ate the grains and you did this, you wouldn't have the low blood sugar. And, you know, it's really difficult and trying to win over people. I don't know if win over is the right, but it's everyone diagnosed, and everyone else knows what's good for you. And you may talk to your doctor and come up with a plan, and oh no, my doctor says this is the way, and this is the only way. And it's kind of like, well, no, you've got to follow this plan. And when on this vlog, more than a couple, I've had people message me back and say, oh, I tried this product and it really works. Well, it doesn't really work. These products are what you're selling or what you're into at the moment. Doesn't mean that they're going to work. And a lot of times, everyone's out to make a buck off you. If people are sending you messages saying, oh, use this, and all your problems will disappear, they're not really into it. They get some sort of remuneration for it. And you as a diabetic have to be careful of it. And the medical professions, if you have a nurse or a doctor that says, well, you are a diabetic, I don't need to hear that. I know I'm a diabetic. But if something's not working for me, do you think I'm not going to tell you? So often we worry about, oh, I've got to do this because people will like me. And so often young diabetics or newly will try to do things because they're already singled out and they want to be accepted. And it's already like we're being talked down to and we're being patronized. Diabetics have to live with a disease. And I would like to see diabetics or non-diabetics try to live the life that they want to impose on us. Basically, oh, you can't eat any sugar. Okay. Well, that's really hard because everything that you consume changes into sugar. So basically, diabetics can sit there and have water. Come on, no diabetic's going to be able to live by that. We need to learn how to live a life that works for us. Now, some people have claimed, and I'm going to try it because it's under the supervision of my doctor, but have claimed that just eating no carbs or very low carb diet will be the answer. It may be. I don't know. But we have to try things with, if you want to try something radical, make sure you have your doctor on side. And those who are part of the medical profession, think about how you would want to be talked to. sitting there, and for example, a home health nurse, I won't mention the name, came to me and said, "Oh, well, your doctor has said we need toe pressures done." And really? And she said, "Well, you know you are diabetic. And do you really think someone my age doesn't know I'm a diabetic?" And that seems to be, oh, well, I'm supposed to put my hands in the air and say, "Okay, yes, you're right. Because I'm a diabetic, I have to get all these things done." And it's sort of like, well, you can't take a cold medication because you are a diabetic. Give it a rest. I really have to say that to all the people who want to diagnose me and decide they have the best treatments for me. And my personal feeling is, yes, and I'm sure some of you have noticed, I am a little tubby. And I'm sure the low-carb diet or the no-carb diet may do me a lot of good in the weight category. I don't know about the diabetes, but in the weight category. My feelings are still out. And if they're out to, try to win you over on a certain plan, tell us all the great things about the plan, but be honest and tell us what some of the negatives are. And what can we expect? So often, we don't hear those. Now, some people say, well, he's lucky to be alive. And that's not, this is, sometimes we need the patient's view. And we're out living our lives and trying to do the best we can. And it doesn't help when your body isn't doing exactly what the manual says. And I know these people a lot of times are trying to help. But there's ways of saying things. And this goes for whether your fifth aunt twice removed has had diabetes, or you're a nurse or you're a doctor. There are ways of introducing a topic. And patronizing and saying, you're diabetic, or because you're a diabetic, if a patient has concerns, that's not an answer we want to hear. We want to hear why we actually need it, not just, oh, well, itchy ear. You're a diabetic. Well, I'm sorry, that doesn't fit. That's not a workable answer. I was not told. I had to find out the reasons why. But the toe pressures are only really done when there's insufficient ABIs. Well, my last ABIs weren't good enough. Or then, okay. But even the nurses that did it, mentioned that it was fine. Just rolling my eyes. And it's like another example of this was about cutting my toenails. And I said, well, I've cut them for years. Well, you are a diabetic, and, you have to get them done professionally. And I went through this, and then the healthcare worker manager came out and sat down and said, well, it better not be blah, 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 blah doing it. They're not allowed to, blah, blah. Relationship and respect. It's almost, in some cases, you, just watching Nico for a sec, lose that when you become into the medical profession. And some doctors and nurses don't understand that. And they're not, don't get me wrong, there's an awful lot of good ones out there. But just say, oh, well, you have to do this because I said so. And if you question it, you just get that magical saying, and you know how much I like that. If you don't know an answer, tell us. I'm not sure. I will find out for you and get back to you, and then get back to us. Don't patronize an answer. Because that's worse. You need to be aware. And on the flip side, they want us to show respect. And I'm all for showing respect. But if you lose a patient, and when I say lose a patient, I mean the patient just stops going there. You have to think why. And if we're not happy, we're going to go to other doctors. And I know some of these doctors and the nurses will say so. They just didn't want to follow our program. Well, don't belittle us. We have to come up with a system that works. And just because a system that didn't work before may be working for us, don't assume your way is the only way. Because, when Dr. Banting went to the doctors at, I believe it was 6 Children's Hospital, he was pretty well laughed at. But look what happened. The discovery of insulin, which brought pride to the University of Toronto. And, now that's the staple of type 1 diabetic and a lot of type 2 treatments. So remember that. All we're asking is a little respect. But if we're doing something wrong or some new procedures, well, you know you're a diabetic. Won't wash for me anymore. I'm not going to take that from anyone. I have a plan. It's been worked out over the years, and I will follow that. Have a great day, and we'll talk to you later. Bye now.